Awesome. Awesome. So welcome. I'll do my best to keep it as short as possible. I know you're very patient with your parents. I tried to be as all-encompassing as I could. As players, if you have any questions, feel free. Don't be shy to reach out. We're going to start in the chat. The best we can, and I'll try to answer as we go. Right now, I'm going to get sharing my screen to go over things. There with the players, with you as players, I'm going to emphasize some things more so than I did with the parents. Okay. But I'll go through. Let me pop up the chat. I'm going to pop up participants. And then let me go through here. Awesome. All right. And then I will slideshow, play from start. Awesome. So first of all, I want to thank guys and girls for getting on. Really appreciate it. I know it's a long night. I know some of you are super excited about getting back to the field. So we really want to get this going. We've worked a long time to develop this plan. This didn't come together overnight. It's really easy to put together a soccer training plan or a tactical game plan. But when we're talking about a pandemic and safely training, it's not something we take lightly. So we've worked with all the top clubs from across the U.S. and Canada, in order to make this, plan. And we want to make sure that, that you all are on here and are a part of this. Just want to say that Tecumseh is teamwork, and this is what it's going to take to get back on the field. This is what it's taken to get back on the field. It's been, hold on one second here. It's been a large team effort from our staff, from our coaches, from our volunteers, from our board of directors, from everyone in order to make this happen. And I just wanted to, thank everyone who has been a part of that. And hold on one second here. Clear. Hold on one second. Awesome. Okay. All right, so I'm going to work our way through here. I just want to also give credit to a lot of work that was done by both Pickering and Brampton, who really helped us develop our plan. Lost my mouse here. Okay, I got it back. All right. Hold on. Let me unshare. There we go. All right, so just a little word back. We've made sure that we're not going to go over too much policy and government stuff with you, but we are going to talk about our plan and our overall operational policy. How we put this together is we worked with the government of Canada. We worked with the government of Ontario. We worked with the city of Windsor and the town of Tecumseh. And then we work with the Windsor-Essex Health Unit, which I'm sure you hear a lot of in the news, because we want to make sure that our plan was as complete to keep our players as safe as possible. We wanted to make sure we have all the policy procedures and all the stuff, some of you guys, that's boring, that matters. But then we wanted to make sure we do a good job communicating it to you. And then we wanted to have the strategy in order to pull this off. So we developed our pandemic policy. So we made sure it protected every single one of you. We made sure the board approved it. We worked alongside the government, and now we're making sure it's shared the right way. We went through and looked at how Ontario's safely opening and doing things. And we looked at how Canada Soccer is safely returning and their guidelines. And when we looked at those things, we said, okay, now we have an idea. Ontario Soccer gave us their guidelines. We had to come up with our own plan. We had to submit it to Canada Ontario Soccer in the town of Tecumseh, and they had to improve it. They had to approve it. The return to play for Ontario and Canada Soccer and similar plans across the U.S. and North America goes pretty much like this. Phase 1, we're returning to train. So that means that we can do everything basically except have contact. So we can't have possession games. We can't have scrimmages. We can't do 1v1s. That's not what is allowed right now in Ontario and Canada. Once things open up, which they're starting to, then that little bit more normal training is allowed. That's in phase 2. Then phase 3 would be return to compete. That'd be when they're when we're allowed to have things return to scrimmages, return to games, return to our leagues. And I know along some of our team calls we've had that. So again, just to go over, right now we're returning to train. We're working on there's no contact in our training. There's nothing like that. Now, I've said this to every team I've met with already. Even if you were allowed to, right now, if everybody said, hey guys and girls, you're allowed to scrimmage and have contact and everything, as a coach, we wouldn't be doing that with you. Some of you have been doing tons of work during this COVID time. Some of you, a little bit of work. Some of you, maybe not so much. Some people have been working on doing different exercises, so we don't know if our body is balanced the same way in a safe way that it was before. So for this week, we have 1 practice. Next week, we have 2 practices. The week after, we have 2 practices. After those first 3 weeks, we have a good idea of when it being safe for contact. What we don't want to have is somebody who's been like working out like crazy go out against someone who hasn't been, or maybe isn't as maybe they had a bad knee before, a bad ankle, and it's not as sturdy yet. We want to make sure that we safely get to that point where we can have contact. We go back to 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s. So we can do shooting, we can do passing, we can do all kinds of dribbling. We can move. We don't have to stay in one square and train. That's not what it's about. But we want to make sure that we slowly build up through the phases. Even when we talk about getting into when they let us go into phase 2, we go from individual training, we go to small groups. So we're not going to go from 1v1s to 11v11. We're going to go from 1v1s to 3v3s, 4v4s for another week or 2, then get into our whole team scrimmaging against each other, things like that. And then once they allow us, get to normal games. One thing I do want to address is that every single stage in this process, even if we get back to full league play, every single stage involves the same safety protocol. So when we get to the field, the way we check in, the link you have to fill out before you get to the field, the way you have to wash your hands when you get to the field, the way we keep everybody safe on the field, always has to be the same. So even once we're back scrimmaging, we're still going to be as safe as we possibly can. The only time you're going to have contact is there. If any of you have watched Bundesliga or MLS or any of the sport or NWSL or any of the sports starting now, you'll notice they're as safe as possible all day in their facility, walking into the facility, on the bench, everything. The only time there's contact or any risk is on the field of play. That's the same way we're going to be. The only time, even in the future, that there'd be any risk is when we get on the field of play. Every age, we're going to have a little bit different training design because we understand that every age, they're going to be doing similar exercises in the first 3 weeks, but we're going to be keeping them geared towards the same thing. Okay? And I just want to go over the main training safety protocols. I'm not going to go, like I said, I'm going to try not to bore you and try to get off here quicker for you. First things, sessions, time slots are only an hour. Okay. and you're going to be active for like full 45 minutes of that hour. Okay. We're going to make sure there's a buffer between your group and the next group, because we want to make sure that we don't have too many people on the facility. Right now, as the government states, we can only train in groups of 10. So put a coach in there. Now you're down to 9 players. So if you're on a team, your team would be split into 2 training groups. The feedback you gave us that came from the leadership council was that we want to all be there together, and we definitely want to be able to see our coach. So what we did is work out the best we can to have your group be next to, and I don't mean next to like close, but the next group from your other team's group. So you would all be training at a high level with a comparable coach, whether you're working on speed stuff, whether you're working on skill stuff, but your team will be there, so it'll feel as much like a normal practice as possible. Okay. We wanted to make sure that we slowly ease into it, that we don't jump like crazy. So we have to be really careful. We want to make sure that we have hydration stations on site because it's super hot. That we have hand sanitization stations on site, and that we're also going to be very cautious this year. You know how last year we had a bad summer with like rainstorms and lightning, and sometimes we'd come and then it'd get canceled and then we'd wait. We're going to be really cautious about lightning, because if there's lightning and we have 50 people out there between coaches and players, we can't just go stand under one gazebo because it's not socially distanced. So I want to make sure we're as safe as possible. Something you need to consider as players is every day before you train, you have to complete, there's going to be a Google form. And most of you should be familiar with Google Forms, I'm sure, some way or another. If you guys have done quizzes in Google Classrooms or anything like that, you're going to have to complete a Google form with like 10 simple questions, basically verifying that you haven't been around anybody with COVID, you have no symptoms, you've reviewed this training already, and that you're safe and ready to play every time you train. So if you train Tuesday, Thursday, every Tuesday, Thursday before 5 o'clock, you have to complete that link. If you train Monday, Wednesday, same thing. If you train Saturday morning, whatever it is, that has to be completed. You then have to update your sports engine. So we have to keep record of who's coming to practice and who's not. So it's very important now more than ever, not just because we want to plan practice, but because we have to literally tell, if something happens or somebody got sick, we have to say who was at the practice. So we need a record of it, and we're using Sports Engine for that. We don't want to see you carpooling unless they're in your bubble. I'm sure your family's talked about your bubble. I'm not going to define what your bubble is, your bubble of 10 with your family, but I'm going to say we don't want to see carpooling, okay, unless they're in your family bubble. We're going to be very strict with where your parents can drop you off and where you line up, okay, in there. And we want to make sure when you get dropped off, you have all your items need to safely participate. So you're coming to the field dressed, ready to train. Cleats, shin guards, socks, training kit, everything, okay? We want to make sure you have your water. We want to make sure you have your hand sanitizer, your masks if you're wearing a mask to go from the car to the field, your mask if you're wearing a mask in training, all in a clear Ziploc bag. No soccer bags will be allowed in. Okay. If there will be no soccer bags allowed in. You will be told to put it back in your parents' car. You need a clear Ziploc bag. And all these questionnaires will be sent out tomorrow. In addition to the questionnaire, your parents needed to do the return to play registration. Okay. That registration does not involve, the link that was sent out today does not involve any form of payment or money. So your parents need to do that registration, because in there is a waiver for them and to acknowledge for you, because you're under the age of 18, that the Ontario government and the Ontario Soccer needs and Canada Soccer needs to be signed before players can come back to participate. When you get dropped off, we need to know who dropped you off, mom, dad, etc., because that matters. If somebody gets sick, we need to know who you were around on that day, who dropped you off. Grandma dropped me off, whatever it is. That's what we need to know. Again, if you have any question, the daily questionnaire needs to be done before 5, but it can be done anytime that day. So it just has to be done that day. So when you wake up, some of you, I know some of my boys don't wake up till like 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon. I'd rather you do it earlier, okay? Because the earlier, the better for us, okay? Again, hand sanitizer, you should come in your Ziploc bag, not your soccer bag. Your soccer bags will not be at the field. If you're bringing sanitization wipes to wipe down your own soccer ball or things like that, your Ziploc bag with your water bottle should have a covered spout to make sure that it's as clean as possible. Snacks. We don't want you bringing snacks for snacks' sake. If you are diabetic, if there's something, a reason you need to have a little like snack with you, or you're feeling whatever, let us know that's why it's in your bag. It's not lunchtime. Okay, you're not at the field for 4 hours. It's not camp day. Okay, tissues you can't be sharing these things with each other, so you need to have your own. That's why your own water and things like that are going to be very important. Okay, and again, everything should be inside your Ziploc bag. Again, want you to become prepared to play and dress. You need to bring your and you need to bring your own ball. We will not be providing soccer balls. You will bring your own soccer ball. If you do not bring a ball, we are not loaning you one. Okay, you will just be doing the practice without the ball. We're not going to be giving out 27,000 soccer balls. If you don't have a ball, or there's a financial reason at the moment you can't get a ball, that's okay. We can get you a ball. Okay, but a financial reason is not I forgot it. Financial reason right now is times are tough. Sometimes we can't afford new things. We lost it. We need to prioritize getting a ball and bringing one to the field. We're not going to be mismatching warm-up shirts or anything, or giving you pennies at the moment, because we're not doing scrimmaging of any sort. All this emergency response plan is more related to your parents, but I do want you to know that if somebody got sick, if they got a positive case within our club, okay, our ERP lead Thomas would be the first ones your parents would notify. As long as myself as a director, we'd notify the club board, who would notify the team that somebody on their team has been sick. We'd notify your parents and talk to your parents, and that'd go to the professional health authority. And then we would communicate it throughout the club. So there wouldn't be we have a process for how it gets communicated. This could happen. It's not probable, but this is possible. So this is why all this is being done, to make sure, just like in every other league in the world, if you watch any sports right now, positive cases can happen. Okay. What we try to do is keep the environment as safe as possible, and have a plan for if something goes the wrong way. And again, I'm not going to bore you with our planning, but yeah. So just for a side note, all this presentation stuff is why I'm more excited than anyone to be out on the field tomorrow, because I'm sick of doing PowerPoints and doing spreadsheets. So that's why when I talk to the teams that I get to work with, is going it. This is what I've been staring at for the last little bit. Our emergency response plan is also our administrative lead. So it's Thomas. He can be reached at admin@tecumsehsoccerclub.com or t.wimmer@tecumsehsoccerclub.com, either or. Okay. So now, again, just to go about the practice day, training day, some of you guys and girls start tomorrow. Okay. Again, understanding the pre-screening process. Reviewing self-assessment. Tomorrow morning, the link will go live sometime, kind of like when the stuff was sent out today, sometime around noon tomorrow. You'll need to make sure the return to play registration was done on Sports Engine. That was sent out today. So you need to ask mom or dad, did you do the return to play Sports Engine registration? Yes. It does not involve any money. It's not a new registration. Just to reiterate that. So there's no reason to put it off. That's fine. Actually filling out that form has nothing to do with that. Then you need to do the questionnaire tomorrow. Once you do the questionnaire, you then need to fill in Sports Engine. So then we need to know you're coming. Tomorrow is the day. And Thursday is a day. I will blow up your and your parents' phones if you're not updated on Sports Engine. I need a yes or a no. Yes or a no, yes or no. If you say no, we need to know why. Because if you say no and it's because you're injured, that's fine. If you say no and it's because you have your cousin's birthday, that's fine. If you say no and it's because you're sick or symptomatic, we need to be aware and we need to record that. So that gets told to your coach confidentially by your parents. So it's very important that we complete the questionnaire and update Sports Engine. The questionnaire is literally as simple as this. Simple as this. Okay. So this will be sent out tomorrow. It's not long. It's not exceptionally hard. Okay. And we need that done. The earlier, the better. Please don't wait till 5 o'clock. Please, we don't want to see 40 questionnaires come in at 4:45. Okay. If you turn in your homework late, that's fine. Please don't do this questionnaire late. It's going to delay you getting into practice. The later you do this, the longer it's going to take you to get to practice. And practice doesn't run longer. It will be done and you'll miss out. Please don't do that. Contact tracing, like I said before, we need to know who drops you off, who you were with, who you practice with, and we're going to keep this information in our club confidentially for 6 weeks. Because if there's a case, the Windsor Essex Health Unit needs to know for the past 6 weeks of what groups you've been with. That's been the timeline that they've asked. The only reason that information will be used is if there's a positive case. There will be no other purpose. We don't care if your uncle or aunt or whatever drops you off. After 6 weeks, the information gets destroyed or when this pandemic is done. It's the only time those sheets and records will be referenced. And the sheets will just look like this. Okay? It's very simple. Now our facility considerations. So this is an aerial view of Tecumseh soccer fields. Down here at the left is Zares, the back of Zares, the back of National Sports. Here's St. Gregory's Road, Tecumseh Road somewhere off to the right. And that's LeSoir High School soccer field and parking lot. No one is allowed on LeSoir property. No one is allowed on any school property. So we cannot park there. We cannot kick a ball and run over there. We cannot do any of that. So this is a big no area. Depending on where you train, you will either come in to the parking lot from St. Greg's or Tecumseh Road. Whatever field you get assigned, will say St. Greg's 1 or Tecumseh 1. You will get assigned and you'll know which field to come off of. And your teams will get that assignment tomorrow. Some things we took into consideration when we decided the field was how big the field is, what our training area layout may be, what it's going to be like in the parking lots, where we're going to put sanitization stations, where we're going to have hydration. We went through a lot of different versions. And in the end, it looks like this. Most sessions will have 5 training stations. You should say Tecumseh 1 and 2. I already figured out that I made an error last time. This is from St. Gregory's Road. You're going to enter here. Tecumseh Road, you'll enter here. When your parent pulls in, they park. We don't want them stopping and letting you out. We want them parking and then you coming up to the queue. You'll go see the volunteer at table 1. They'll give you a temperature check, okay? You'll get the temperature check, and they will verify that you've completed the waiver and the questionnaire. If you've done that, you will be allowed in. If not, you will be sent back to your car or to the waiting tent down here. And we will wait, and you will wait there outside the fence for your parents to come get you and fix the situation. If you get allowed in, you'll be allowed in, and you'll be able to line up along the fence where we have designated areas where you can stay. Once it's your turn, you'll get called to the volunteer tent. They'll again verify that you've done the waiver, you have no symptoms, and they will direct you to your field equipment area. You will put your equipment down where it says. You'll find one of the player equipment areas. You'll put your bag down. That'll be where you keep your Ziploc bag. Again, you're bringing in a plastic bag, a Ziploc clear plastic bag. You don't bring your bag with like 20 sweatshirts in it or your smelly socks that you haven't washed since last time we had practice. You bring a clean Ziploc bag. At that time, the coach will come over, go through the safety protocol and questions with you for your third safety check before practice happens. If anything happens during practice, we have 2 first aid safety tents in the middle with volunteers who are overseeing the session. They will handle it because our coach will not be able to leave the other 8 or 9 players in their training group during the time. At the end of practice, your coach will instruct you, or a potential field marshal will instruct you where to go and how to exit the facility. Okay. You'll then eggs up and line up along the fence. And once you locate your parents, you'll be allowed to leave. Again, any questions, just throw them in the chat. Tomorrow, if jerseys, I love the questions. Jerseys. Yeah, so jerseys. If your team like got new jerseys, the managers have them. They will have them. So the adults will exchange the jersey. So I'm not giving the jerseys to you. About the questionnaire link will be on Tecumseh Soccer Club's webpage. It will be sent out tomorrow in an email, but then it will be at the top of Tecumseh Soccer Club's page from now until the end of this, because you'll have to access it all the time. So it'll always be, you'll just be able to go whatever.com, and then I would save it as a bookmark or like put it in your notes in your iPhone or whatever you have, if you have a device. As far as siblings, we'd love siblings to have the opportunity to train together. So if there currently is, if you're currently stuck for a carpool, have your parents reach out to us and let them know. Are you allowed to bike to the fields? If you bike to the fields, your bike must be, when there's nobody in there, locked up in the safety area. Okay. And then you'll have to go through the same process. Okay. We will ask that you bring sanitization to be able to wipe or spray down your bike. Your parents are not allowed inside the fenced area, so they will be in their cars. So when you exit, we will acknowledge that they're in their cars. Okay. No, there's no need for electronics. Okay, there's no need for electronics. If because you're there for 45 minutes, if you need to get a hold of your parents, somebody at the volunteer tent has all of your contact information. We're keeping it there, so we will be able to get a hold of your family. Okay, and the person who asked me that, I can definitely get a hold of your family. Okay. Every team only has 1 training session this week. That's why it only shows either Wednesday or Thursday or Saturday. If you have a younger brother, or sister, they may not have their day. They may not start till Saturday or Monday. Okay. We started a while ago, the older. 2 things about raining, like weather and bathroom. There are no bathrooms. We cannot have a bathroom because of the huge sanitization. So you have to be planning for your bathroom situation to not have to go to the bathroom for the hour that you're training. Okay. And ideally, when your parent drops you off, it's training sessions. Remember, it's only between the time you come in and the time you go out, it's like an hour. So your parents, ideally, there's enough spots. We're only training with a few players, like only 40 players on the field. There's enough spots that all the parents can be waiting. So if something happens, if you have a bathroom emergency, they can take you to whatever public place is around to go. But we're not allowed to have a bathroom available to you. Okay. I answered it's only showing practice Thursday or Wednesday, one of the 2. Electronics, I answered. Great questions, by the way. Your parents didn't ask this many questions, so I really appreciate the questions. If there's a new player wanting to join or try out your team, they have to go through the same registration. Now, new players, will fill out the forms, but they need to contact your coach or myself um, to if you want to go through. You need to contact myself or the coach to go through there. If um, they have to pay a training fee because obviously everybody else has already paid for a training fee. So I know, like I told the players, there's no fees. If your parents have talked about siblings training together, because ideally we'd want to have that situation on certain nights. With some ages and some genders, it's worked. Some it hasn't. If there's if you have a question, have your mom or dad just shoot me a message because there's 2 questions about that. We have no problem with that, and it's an ideal situation when possible. Some of you wrote, "No, please don't let my sibling train." That's funny. No, yes, no soccer bags at all. No soccer bags at all. Just Ziplocs. If it rains, you go to your parents' car. We will queue you up, and it will go to your parents' car. Like I said, with lightning, we're going to take it very, very, very. We're going to be very cautious. Okay, we're going to be very cautious. Yes, and in an ideal, we don't anticipate parents leaving. If they leave, a bathroom situation, or we need your parents to be available. If there was a situation, we have waiting area tents that we can handle some kids. If there was a one-off, if a parent ran to do something quickly, we have enough tents, but we don't want to get into that situation. So we want all parents there. In the Ziploc, you want to, and I'll go back to if there's a mask. And I just want to say, so you guys don't feel, and guys and girls, you don't feel like you have to remember all this. We're giving you like a visuals with like icons of things to remember. So like what to pack in your bag, things to remember when you go to practice. This week is very much, yes, parents would ideally wait in the car while you train. This week is very much like our walkthrough. So this is practice for us. This is practice for you this week. In the Ziploc, so when you get out of your parents' car, you can have a mask on. You could have a second mask in your Ziploc, hand sanitizer, your water, if you're bringing any wipes to wipe down your equipment, and things like that. So if you didn't get a schedule, if it hasn't been posted, check with your coach. If you're a younger team, it might just be because they were working on the final times. It is not mandatory to wear a mask. We cannot make any coach or volunteer or player wear a mask. We would recommend that from when you leave your car to your player equipment area that you have a mask. But we cannot send that out. Tomorrow around noon, the questionnaire, that daily training form, will come out. Will get sent out. And I'll make sure that goes out to I'll send it out to not only your parents tomorrow, but in case your parents are at work, in case your parents are at work, I'll make sure you you send it's out in the Google Classroom too, so everybody has that. In terms of we want to make sure that whatever you have on your mask is deemed safe. So we don't want to, if you had a bulky shield, we wouldn't recommend you train in that. We wouldn't want to have that as a safety setting. Yes, the questionnaire has to be done the day you train. You need to do the waiver. There's a registration your parents have to do now that only gets done once. And the questionnaire gets done every time you train. It needs to be done before 5 p.m. And so that will be live tomorrow around noon, and it will be on the site, and I'll make sure it goes out to everyone. Awesome. Boys and girls, awesome questions, by the way. Definitely really glad we did this. So I'm going to keep going. Training, okay? It's not going to be just in one area. You don't stay in one area like you've been in your basement and we're doing We Train and live training. No. We can move, but we cannot move into other people's areas yet. We have to give everybody their social distance space. So this is an example of how we might set up training for training session 1, where we can do some passing, we can do some dribbling moves in our own space, we can do some passing amongst each other, and then we can maybe do some relays. Maybe it's some turning moves and run this way and then come back in, and then my partner does. So we have some fun stuff planned. What you'll notice is the coach's area is not in the middle of you walking through and amongst you. That's not what we're doing. Okay. Especially the first 2-3 weeks is very much, we're running the session from outside. We're not all mixing up. Once we get into phase 2A, that's when we have the ability to move a little bit closer. And if the coaches come into that space, they'll be masked up. But right now there's a buffer zone. Everybody is physically distant from each other. Okay. And that'll be laid out on the field very clearly tomorrow. Training time and schedule. Like I said, first group checks in at 5:50 to start training at 6. We're exiting. I know many of you like to drag your feet as we exit. No more dragging the feet as we exit. We don't talk after practice. We don't. Thank you, safe, and exit safely, because we need to get those players off the field so that we have time to clean the equipment and bring in the next group that checks in 10 minutes later, on field at 7, gets their safety protocol, and then is training at 7:05. That group leaves at 7:50. The next group checks in at 8 o'clock, 8:05 on field, 8:10 training, 8:55 depart. If we had lights, then there'd be a group 4, but there is not a group 4. For the first few weeks, I've designed all the training sessions, modified a little bit before I go into this, no small bags, because you have to enter the facility fully geared up: cleats, socks, shin guards, everything. Any other small bag, like whatever, this is coming from somebody who has to bike, needs to be locked up with your bike. Okay, in the safety area. It'll not be allowed in the facility. Okay, so if you brought like a little, and you just carry your ball. Okay. I made all the session plans, so if you don't like them and they're boring, tell me. Okay, it's not your coach's fault. Okay, if they change anything, they have to clear it through me. The reason why we're doing that is because priority number 1 is safety. Priority number 2 is fun. Priority number 3 is learning right now. Just want to get you back having fun while being safe and moving. So a lot of relays, a lot of fun competitions, making it feel as much as like a team practice as we can. Okay, but if you have ideas, some of you have been giving some great ideas, feel free. Okay. Ideally your water goes in a Ziploc bag, but if you have one of those big jugs, it might not. You might want to bring like a cover for that big jug, or however it slips away. But ideally if you have a small water. Again, practice isn't too long. You're going to be having like 2 water breaks, maybe 3. So, we shouldn't have going through it. And I just want to emphasize again, there is no bathroom breaks. There's no bathroom breaks provided by us. There's no bathroom facility on the field. We don't have that. So we're not allowed to have a porta john there, or anything. So that's why your parents should ideally be there, be able to take you. Again, just want to overview. You got to do your questionnaire. We're asking you not to carpool. We've created schedules for you to train with your own teams, but in numbers. But obviously, like I said, siblings close in age or gender might be able to train together in a similar environment. So just ask. Just have your parents ask. There's going to be a specific area you get dropped off. So if you're at St. Gregory Field 1, that's where you get turned in and parked. We won't let you out there and let you walk across. We'll tell your parents to take you around to the other side. Okay. If you come in the wrong way, it's not that we're mad at you. None of this will be that we're mad at you. It's just what we have to do. Okay. And like I said, all of this information will be not only emailed out, but readily accessible on our social media, on Instagram, Twitter, and everything like that. If your bathroom question, If you need to go to the bathroom in the middle of practice and you exit and your parents take you to wherever and come back, yes, you just have to enter the same way. Enter, checkpoint, sanitize, the same 3 checkpoints you have to enter, and then back in the training if you miss training, if we have an emergency. Okay? That's okay. There's no training for keepers in the first in the first 5 sessions. So this week's 1 session, next week 2, next week 2. Then they'll be adding keepers in there, assuming we're progressing in phases. Okay. If they pull us back, then no. There's just an issue with the ball's constantly by your face. We're technically constantly have to be switching out the ball, cleaning the ball. Okay, and we shouldn't be doing that. How many teams will be at one practice? There will be between 40 and 45 players there, between 35 and 45 players there at any given time. We were allowed 60. We kept it safe so that it's not crowded, so that it feels as safe as possible. Okay, so we're functioning with that many players. So just a summary as we wind down, because I don't want to keep you guys. Let me check the clock. Yeah. Just a review. Again, no more than 9 players and a coach. And again, just how it will be separated. If your team, let's say, has 15 players, 16 players, two groups of 8, 2 groups of 8, each with a coach running their sessions. We want to make it feel as like you're at a normal practice, even though you're in 2 separate groups. So we're doing everything we can. So you might be running, let's say you have like 16 players on your team. That's 4 groups of 4. So the 8 of them would be here with this coach, 8 of them would be here with this coach. Well, even though I'm 10 yards away from that group, we can still start our relays at the same time, or start our competition at the same time, or start our passing competition at the same time. So we're all competing with each other. And don't worry if you don't have Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. I know I said that it'll be posted there. They'll also be sent out, and it'll be on the front of the webpage. You're going to get used to going to tecumsehsoccerclub.com. Everything is going to be on. We're probably going to have the whole sidebar, like all return to play resources. So like link, this. You're going to be able to scroll down. Hey, I need this checklist. What do I need in my bag? I need wipes, sanitizer, water, this. If I could make a song, if I was creative, I would have wrote a song about what you need to remember, but I'm not that creative. Ideally, everyone requested they want their coach there. Okay. If we bring in a second coach, like with your group, that isn't like a track coach, and I don't mean you're doing fitness, I mean like we're doing helping fun relays or fun movement, it'll be a coach that your group generally likes. Okay. So we're making sure that all the we made sure we know which teams, that we know their favorite coaches. Most of the times you guys are very honest with me, so I made sure to make sure everybody always gets some of their fun favorite coaches that are not only going to help them learn but help them have fun during this time. And every coach is going to keep it safe. Okay, we'll be focusing a lot on our individual stuff and our safe movement testing, getting back, feeling comfortable being athletic, and working on our skill. Remember, we're not judging you right now. Okay? We're not judging you right now. Can you please put us with your friends? Yes, you're going to be with you're going to be with your friends. I don't even know what that is. It's a number. You're going to be with your friends. So everybody's kept near their friends. We're not just like all these kids mixed in and then 45. Your team is in a general area. We're not judging anyone based on some players have been practicing really, really hard over the last little bit. Some players haven't as much. So we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, and we're going to have fun with our teammates while we're there, and we're going to start getting back used to soccer. Some players are going to come back better than they've ever been because they might have been training 5 days a week. Some players maybe not. Maybe they use this time as a time to relax, and they wanted to read a bunch of books, or they just wanted to hang out and watch Netflix. There's been a lot of good stuff on Netflix and Disney Plus. I've watched Hamilton like 5 times. Okay, so that's okay. Okay, your training groups, you'll find out your training group the first night you're there. Okay, and then these groups will stay the same for the first 5 practices, not 50. First 5. Okay, and then we'll see what phase we're going into from there. Okay. Again, there'll be no scrimmages. Every player has to bring their own ball. Masks are optional. Some coaches may be wearing masks. In phase soccer phase 2, that's when we can potentially get into 3v3s, 4v4s, and then slowly we getting into bigger groups in phase 2B. Yes, each team has their own, so it's not like your team's split over 2 times. So like it's not like half your team's going to train at 7, half your team's going to train at 8. It would be your whole team is training at one time. That again, that was information you gave us. You said we want to feel like it's a practice, even if we're split a little bit. And I think that was very important that you said that. Again, just the self-assessment and the questionnaire that has to be done tomorrow between 12 and 5. How you get to the field needs to do it safely. No handshakes or high fives. Bench protocol we don't have to worry about till we do games. I'll be sending out about this. When you get home, you should definitely clean off just the same as anybody does. I know some families are cleaning your groceries to clean this. You need to make sure you have a routine when you get home to clean yourself. We need to keep like who dropped you off and things like that. Are we going to be able to do shooting? We won't do shooting this week. I'll tell you that. Okay. And I don't know if we'll do shooting next week, but by week 3, there will be some shooting games. I don't know if we'll get to it next week. I have to see how the passing game goes. Okay. I have to, there's been so much to worry about in terms of safety. Shooting, if you guys were horrible at soccer and you couldn't kick far, then we wouldn't have an issue. But if we miss, but if we miss the net and things go far, then we have balls going everywhere. I'm not saying you're not accurate. I'm just saying maybe after 3 months you wouldn't be as accurate as you usually are. If you're put in groups, yes, your team will all be practicing at the same time. So if I'm on the U15 girls, all the U15 girls will be at the field at the same time. So you may not all be in the same 20 by 20 or 30 by 30 area. You'll all be there. So you may be separated by a little space, but you'll all be able to see each other. You'll be able to laugh with each other. Boys, you'll be able to chirp each other across. You'll be safe enough away to be a separate group. But when if we yell to do a competition, if we're chirping at each other because we're beating them in a relay race, and we're doing a passing relay around the grid and pass and move and pass and move and pass and move, we'll be able to be in earshot and eye shot of each other. So again, the scheduling, I don't need to dwell on. You guys just need to know that this is when everything has been approved. We've been working on it for, like I said, about 6 weeks, this plan now. And if you guys have any questions, you can definitely get them to me. Throw it out. And our emergency response lead and our club lead, club admin lead, Thomas, he wants to speak. I wanted to go over a few things now. And if you have any questions, keep throwing them in the chat. I think I answered as many as I could.
I just wanted to say we are glad to have you back on the fields. This is our important mission on the soccer club, to have you playing back on the field. But please be responsible, be on time. This is one important part for us, because otherwise our whole scheduling will not work. So we have to rely on you to be on time. Have everything ready. Be prepared. You know when you're going to a game, how it works out. You gotta have your soccer stuff with you. So please only have the Ziploc bags with you, as we talked about it. If you have any other questions, I'm sure our board members are more than happy to answer any questions if you have any. You will see them around. Coaches are usually too busy, and it's not meant in a bad way, but they are too busy to worry about their teams at that time, that they sometimes cannot answer a certain question or don't have time to answer it at that time when you ask the question. So please be patient with them. I'm sure they will get back to you if they remember it. If not, shoot them another text message or email them. And if it's a really important question in your opinion, approach any one of the board members or even any of the volunteers who can then relay the question either to the coach or to me or to anyone else on the board. Uh, just make sure on time. Now, when you bring your bicycles, park them by the waiting area. That is stuff with a volunteer, so nobody really will touch the bicycles either. So you'd be a little bit more safe with that, but lock the bike up anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'll just say on the bike, hey guys, just because I mean I know who's the two people who messaged me about the bike already. Just hey, let us know. Like tell us if you're going to be doing it, like frequently. Um, because one, we'll want to make sure that we can get hold of your parents in case it starts like raining or something. And then and we'll just make sure we always are aware that on this day this player's riding his bike or her bike, because one boy and one girl's already messaged us, and I know you guys bike there normally, so that's fine.
well, I mean, we all looking forward to have you back on the fields. We really love to see you playing. We really love to support you in any way we can. So if you have any concerns, problems, questions, don't be afraid to ask any of us. We are there to answer you the question and eventually help you out if we can. And that's from the board, this is from Ryan and all the other coaches. We are there to support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thomas has done a lot of work. And guys and girls, first of all, thank you, number one. Second, be thankful to your parents, the volunteers that are going to be able to make this possible. That's awesome. And just be thankful of everyone out there, from your coach all the way up. This has been hard, but it's been hard on everyone, and we're trying to share this and do what we can to get back at training. Really super excited to see all the age groups. So if there's not any further questions, I want you guys to get back to your night. I'll send it out on Sports Engine to all your parents. For those of you who are on Sports Engine as players, this is a great time to get on it. And then I'll put it in through all the Google Classrooms tomorrow, the link too, and I'll start populating the website. I'll be checking emails and texts periodically tomorrow. I'm running around doing errands for setup during the day. So if I don't respond to you, an email from yourself or your parent for like an hour or two, it's not that I've set 3 hours aside tomorrow to answer and respond to people in between being out on the field, because I'm going to be outside hanging those signs to show where you line up and stuff during the day. So if I don't respond right away, that's why. But I'll make sure everybody gets a response. So thank you very much. Really appreciate everyone and their time here. I cannot wait to be back on the field. Not only because you're amazing, but just because I'm sick of these PowerPoint presentations. It feels like I'm back in school doing all this. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone, players, parents, clubs, everyone. So great stuff. I can't wait to see you. Let's have fun, but let's be safe. And then 2 months from now, it'll feel like we haven't missed a beat. So I'll see who's everybody training tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you Thursday. And have a good night. Bye.
Bye.